which does mean that if you get 3-0'd, it might be, but trust me, ends up in a little bit of a self-blame kind of ethos. Might need to like confer with Skyzer a little bit, clear the head, and really reset the mental heading into this match against FaZe, because this needs to be, for Na'Vi, a fairly dominant performance. Because if they don't win this, well, if they don't win this, their season's over. But if they don't win this cleanly against FaZe, Chopped might just take them out back. Like, Chopped are looking absolutely fantastic today. Chopped are so hungry, and they went so close against Virtus Pro.
Not just that, because Chopped were able to come in through with a 3-0 win. They're likely not going to be all that tired if they have to play the second half of the day, as we can head into Celestial Husk, which is, oh yeah, that's going to be not a fun memory lane trip for Na'Vi. That was the Celestial Husk domination map that Citadel came through against them from. FaZe are going to be banning out that Jeff, potentially going for a one-sided Jeff play themselves here, as Winnie has been proving incredibly dominant on that hero, as Na'Vi are likely going to be looking to prioritize having one-sided Mantis, as they're going to remove that Adam Warlock, so no Soulbind, and if the fights go long, no Karmic Revival or an Adam's position for you to have to keep track of.
Okay, providing this is a Mantis Protect, this is going to be both of their teams in comfort positions. Winnie has been incredibly successful on the Jeff, whereas Na'Vi, they have both a Mantis Enjoyer in level 1 Crook and probably the progenitor, the harbinger of the Jeff meta in Fate, who was one of the original Jeff believers.
The worry as well for Na'Vi is that if they go for a Vanguard ban of something like the Venom, yes, you weaken the Jeff coming on through by denying symbiotic shenanigans, but Binary has been able to play, and indeed, there goes the Venom. Binary has actually been playing Angela fairly often when we see, not just on domination maps, but also on Convoy too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see FaZe actually run a 2-2-2 dive composition with the Angela and just try and out-aggress Na'Vi's composition. As it's going to be that Mantis giving the damage boost over to the Starlord. Does this now mean that we see an Invis Woman ban? No, it's going to be both teams removed from the Venom way of play, which means that the dive, if it comes on through, is going to be off of the back of something like a Captain America, or as we've mentioned, the Angela.
All right, last ban coming through from FaZe, or rather from Na'Vi. We heard yesterday from Melio just how impactful that last ban is. This way you want to inflict the maximum pain on your opponent's composition, noting what they have shown a predilection for. We might even see Luna or Invisible Woman be taken away here to try and nerf the Starlord.
Could be Hulk to weaken FaZe. If they can't find the dive, they might go to the counter component of Hulk Nemo against players coming in through from Na'Vi, or indeed you could see something like an Invis or a Luna being removed, but no, it's going to be that Emma being taken away. So Na'Vi are going to have one-sided Emma Frost with Rogero, which does mean that Trust Me can go try and force FaZe's triple strategist line to triage each other in terms of the sustainability, and then have Rogero anchor his position on point so that Na'Vi can at least get better point percentage against their opponent, as in a 1 versus 1, Emma does walk quite literally over Magneto.
Yeah, she really does pump out that damage and really can put him into a nasty position, utilizing the Carbon Crush into spinning kicks. Celestial Husk will be where we begin, and that means that we're likely going to have an incredibly long first fight, as Celestial Husk is very much known for those.
Rocket still up too. FaZe have actually played like Citadel, and Na'Vi actually. FaZe have played the Rocket Jeff double strategist line with the dive, where I believe you called it the undivables yesterday, Harry. You simply cannot get on top of them other than the rocket, but you're always going to be sacrificing the BRB, and it gets to the point where even sometimes we see Psylocke just full commit Dance of the Butterflies solely on the rocket's position and then cancel the ultimate early, so they can start looking to turn their attention elsewhere. As we can see, rockets coming on through, and they are going to leave the spawn. Na'Vi does indeed go for that rocket, but it's going to be alongside the Mantis and that Luna, as there was no Luna ban for either of these teams. Both of the Starlords are going to have Snowflake.
All heads rise up with feasting. The goats playing Thor. Trust me, he's going to be rolling on forward here. Remember, there's a lot of mass displacement as well as the damage from the Awakening Rune, and he's almost already down. That requires a lot of healing. You know what? Thor's really good at feeding those strategist ultimates. W.
Here comes the Cap and the Psylocke. They've spotted weakness onto the Stolid and the Luna, who was stacked up too. Wait, that's clearing a lot of space for the backline from FaZe to not have to worry about a Starlord jumping on them.
Naga playing from the high ground wants to try and chase down their counterpart in Leolaz, but there's more than enough healing here, and the counter might be coming through as well. Naga gets punished for such aggression. Trust me, can't join them up in the skies. The Awakening Rune is drafted on out. The damage boost here means a lot of damage. Space has to be given away to the Thor from the Captain America, but they quite easily re-enter afterwards. Binary just in and out, making sure that FaZe can never really capitalize. And now it's going to be Smashness ready to go with the dance of the butterflies in the backs. It's just damage onto Fate at the moment. Jerky catches a bunch of that. Even with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, they aren't able to survive on through. Winnie's chance now. I believe that's only the... Oh, it's only the Luna Snow on the other side. Could be chased down. No, so actually drags him on up, and Fate gets chewed into oblivion in the midst of the mouth of the Jeff. Rajava tries to roll them down, but Navi are down too. The Lightning God ascends to the sky. Of the God of Thunder, rather. Still, the Lightning's not too effective. Binary's already grabbed the pair in their own right. Rosa! Oh, the Rosa Dozer already! Spare me, King!
Yeah, the problem for FaZe, they dealt with that Galactic Legend when they were down Strategist, so both Rosa popped the Meteor and Binary the Freedom Charge. You now have no defensive nor CC immunity against Rajaro with the Sonic Seduction, and Fate's going to have the fate of both worlds too. So Leo has to worry about the Emma ultimate or the Luna being able to heal the damage potential of his. That means that FaZe have to give a very wide berth to Na'Vi before they get onto point.
Smashness has to be careful not to give over too much charge here to the Emma. Gonna just be sharing out as a duo the damage from those Sonic slashes, and also it's been the fate of both worlds expended to try and make this one work. Trust me, looking over towards that back line and can easily get through Oasis. A quick freeze as Leolaz thinks it's time to try and make their presence known on the outside. Still, the damage from Fate is not to be underestimated. The mid-air attacks onto the Star-Lord take them down, and Na'Vi flip the point back in their favor.
It was just the Star-Lord, which means that Rajaro doesn't feel anywhere near the level of pressure to get forced into burning the Sonic Seduction, and they're going to have it. Oh, are we going to see God of Thunder combined with Psionic Seduction so that FaZe have no choice of avoiding it and just walk straight into the very blinding light?
Stare into the light and feel it start to burn. Trust me, wrapping around the edge. Smashness is going to once again make their presence known. But discretion, better part of valor here for Trust Me, instead deciding to fight Binary elsewhere. That shield isn't going to last for long, but a good avoidance of the Carbon Crush means that Binary is going to get away from this one scot-free. Feed over some strategist ultimate charge to their backline. Smashness with a high ground here is going to be difficult to deal with, but Na'Vi is still in control of a point, so they can take...
And the ults.
Yeah, the ults indeed. One player grabbed might well be a God of Thunder rising up above them. Leolaz already taken on down. They see the permanent stunning of the Psylocke. There's no escaping options. Even the sedation was laid onto them while they were in stealth.
Yeah, and Na'Vi only use as well the Psionic Seduction, so they still hold on to all of these other ultimates to force FaZe into having to burn theirs on walk-up. Galactic Legend to be able to force out either Oasis or Winnie. Rose is going to have to hold Meteor M in anticipation of that one too. And trust me, with the damage boost off of the Mantis of the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier has all of the big potential. Down to the Butterflies comes first. Solar Resurgence and the start of the patty kick from the backline is going to come on through. And the God of Thunder means that they dodge Winnie's ultimate.
Yep, God of Thunder gives over the CC immunity. Winnie survives it, however, utilizing that mag bubble that was given out as well. Oh, because we are an amplifier, there's going to be a lot of damage here from Reawakening Rune. Still inside of the fate of both worlds. The damage is not going to be permanent onto the side of FaZe. Trust me, is already halfway to the next doll, trying to disengage behind the Emma Aegis that was dragged up behind the God of Thunder. Binary has their sentient seized for about a moment, and their approach is going to be waylaid by the Emma. Might be saving this Carbon Crush for a rainy day, going for a squishier target instead of the great survivability that Captain America has. Rolling in towards the back line's in the sights, so trust me, a throw of Mjolnir, and oh, straight to the cliffs. It might even be knocked off of the point towards the back. Oasis falls down to an Awakening Rune. Binary doing their best to try and clutch out here. Level 1 Crook TP'd back, but it's a little bit too late as FaZe have already flipped the point.
Trust me, he's going to have the God of Thunder, Rajaro the Sonic Seduction to be able to open up that space, but FaZe now in control of these chokes can now start to exert pressure with both the Cap and the Psylocke controlling all of the angles that Na'Vi want to be able to enter into. It comes down to the butterflies, but there's so many shields, and unfortunately for Smashness in the ultimate, you might find the eliminations, but you're not present on the objective. FaZe have to flip it back again.
Strategies simply weren't there to try and make it work. Level 1 Crook plays on the edge, and the rest of Na'Vi are going to be forced to disengage here as FaZe are back in control.
FaZe, once again, going to be taking a little bit of pressure coming on through so that they can give away all of that battery to Oasis to build up the fate of both worlds. Needs it right now to be able to heal the team fully through both the pressure from the Emerald Smith and the Star-Lord that Na'Vi are going to have. We're going to potentially go all the way to a 99 to 99% fight, which means that FaZe do have the portal advantage and should be able to have a cleaner regroup.
Yeah, and they got the high ground to try and leverage here as well. This can give Leolas quite the shooting station. Here comes the God of Thunder, already falling low, down to 3 HP, but the healing is good. The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier sent in as well, but all it's done is clear the high ground away, and that was Naga up top. Oh, Winnie, you poor soul. You had such dreams. You had such dreams, and yet Naga turns them into nightmares, flighting from above. Oasis drives forward with FaZe. Their backline, making sure fate of both worlds was used, but now it's gone, and it's going to be down to raw sustainability off the back of mechanics. Rosa, trust me, brawling on the top, but Vanguards are just bashing at each other, and when you lay down Mjolnir on a wizard's chest, you know he isn't making that strength saving throw. Bro's got a -3 modifier to that one. Leolas falls down to Jerky up top, using the surprising amount of damage that the Rocket Raccoon has available. Binary spins in circles. Look, spinning's a neat trick, but Na'Vi are unimpressed, and they will cap away the first part of Celestial Husk.
Well, FaZe knew that that one was lost because they don't actually use Freedom Charge. If they thought that that was winnable, they would have popped Rose's ultimate and tried to wait long enough for everybody else to gather onto the point. As it is, they're going to still have that Freedom Charge to give themselves a little bit of extra sustainability in the face of fate when it comes to building up that fate of both worlds within this next round, and we get to see the composition swap. Smashness is going to go over to that torch, Leo over to the Ultron to be able to pocket him up in that sky. And now our attention turns to the dogfight. Star-Lord with Mantis damage boost and Luna Snowflake up against Ultron and Torch and Invis Woman. It's going to come down to Naga versus Smashness and the resources that each team can put into their duelists.
Gonna be a lot of investment there. Trust me, also demands a lot of resources just being on Thor. He's a very high resource character. Does not have much in the way of mitigation, just gets the overhealth, and so there has to be that constant tax on Na'Vi strategists of making sure that the Thor isn't immediately falling over.
Well, they've scouted the torch, they've seen the composition change, and now Na'Vi have to adapt. Jerky can't get picked as well first, otherwise they lose the BRB. Trust me, he's just going to go to the point to try and force a brawl fight. Stacked with his Amma, Thor can do it all, and out comes the dive pressuring the Ultron. Smashness loses the pocket.
When Leolas leads to a lightning round, they're grounded for a second, which can make Thor okay against flyers, but already Smashness has done so much towards the back. Wants the Lunar Snow, finds the Lunar Snow, but as we said, he's a little bit too vulnerable. Might be rezzed by a BRB here if Jerky has it up, but I think it may well have been expended elsewhere. Fates use the fate of both worlds themselves. Smashness begins to spin it on up the fire. Cyclone's ready to go. Now they got the initial capture here, so they are accruing percentage throughout this fight, but FaZe surely have the better position to try and work from here. More meat on the bones, more presence on the point. The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier is deployed nevertheless. FaZe drag themselves out with a trio of ultimates here, using the Human Torch, the Rage of Ultron, and the Invisible Boundary as well. And Rajaro is still going to TP back. Na'Vi completely believe it to be winnable. Trust me, already has yet another God of Thunder. The damage pushed out here is immense. And Leolas is going to have trouble escaping here on the Ultron, just has to slowly limp away.
Yeah, it's moved away from stallable to winnable. They've got Galactic Legend, they've got God of Thunder, they've got the Fork to put the pressure and split the backline from the Vanguards, and Na'Vi have been able to stall out 50% of this point and counting without burning all of their win condition ultimates. Rajaro is holding the Eye of Agamotto too, and that's going to mean that FaZe have to be so careful about how they play these shields around the Doctor Strange's ultimate.
Trust me, out of range of the BRB as well. Or the BRB wasn't up, who knows? Extra space moving forward. An attempted speed boosting of Rajara, but they're slowed down on their movement forward by the invisible boundary drawn up by Winnie. And now FaZe feel like they have the opening. Rolling on forward, have to worry about Naga up in the sky. The Meteor M, it does have a very perilous journey downwards despite all of these environmental hazards. And Naga looks towards the back. Having forced Fate's ultimate, they know that Smashnez is going to be in a vulnerable position due to all the healing available to that Star-Lord. The Rage of Ultron once more declared, and FaZe are in control now. They managed to push Na'Vi off the point for long enough that even during all this brawl, they're starting to get their just rewards. Trust me, runs them down. Mjolnir and Lightning Power combined to absolutely split the backline in twain.
Yeah, they got the flip, but at what cost, Harry? Because now they have not a single ultimate to their name. Rosa has to go to the Doctor Strange and portal these players in, but it's not going to be with a comfort cushion of an Invis Boundary or a Rage of Ultron or a Fate of Both Worlds, which means that Na'Vi can just play for the angles. You can already see half of the team on the high ground on one side, half of the team on the high ground on the other side, which means that FaZe have to just drop the Doctor Strange onto point directly into a brawl against the Foreign Strange.
There's no asset, there's no generational wealth, it's a poverty push, and well, Doctor Strange more than ready to meet it. A combination of Iron Agamotto and the God of Thunder. The Avengers have assembled onto the back line of FaZe, and they find themselves phased out of existence as Na'Vi start dominantly on Celestial Husk.
Yeah, FaZe having to use the Supernova because Na'Vi got the first point cap on Celestial Codex to shut down all of the potential angles that Na'Vi could be playing from, having to ping-pong the point between all of the players as well as isolate out the LOS from the backline onto the Vanguards holding that position, meant that Supernova wasn't there to find the eliminations when that fight just continued going longer and longer and longer. And since FaZe are constantly coming under pressure from the 4 brawling and the Strange on the point itself and Naga on that Star-Lord being in your backline, in your front line, on your torch, just accosting you from every single angle possible, they never really got the opportunity to come through and find any consolidated damage on one singular target when the ultimates came out.
Yeah, there were these constant interruptions coming through. We saw a really spirited attempt on first here as well, coming through from FaZe, even winning out the first fight, getting the first cap. Super impactful stuff. But you know what, Mox? They were going up against the 100% win rate king. He stays on top, baby.
Yeah, 4 coming in through that 100% win rate. I mean, 4 on Codex as well.
Yeah.
Is actually a really good pick when it comes to being able to challenge onto things like flyers with, like you said, being able to drop them from the ground, but also with the shift with your Thunder Surge, being able to go from the low to the high, so you can constantly play bouncing point presence off of your Emma when she's having to get sustained and stabilized by her backline into running aggressively at phases. Luna and Invis pressuring them out so that Winnie wasn't able to hold the angle and provide Guardian Shield staggers over to Smashnez. Every single time we saw that torch, he was getting a little bit of the Ultron pocket from the drone, but it was nowhere near the 24/7 care priority we've seen an Invis woman being able to provide on the sibling with the Guardian Shield stagger, which really could have helped Smashnez survive the Supernova when he went head-to-head against the Star-Lord tracking him down.
Yeah, the Star-Lord really does have a great matchup against the Ultron and the Human Torch. When you've got the tracking that Naga has, like, you just have the mechanical wherewithal to find Smashers. And you know that Na'Vi is just a team with such clear communications. The off angles established by Smash, they are always being tracked pretty succinctly by the team themselves. We'll see if FaZe have a plan to bring it back into their favor. They do get to pick the next map. We'll find out where we're going after this break. it's just good to feel represented, you know, Mox. All of us ranked losers playing Thor, like, see, trust me, did it, it's fine. And you know what? Na'Vi are starting off pretty strong on domination, but now for FaZe, as they face down Oblivion in the losers bracket, have to decide where they want to really manufacture their own battle.
Convoy or Convergence? That is the question. I feel like they've had really good performances on Convoy previously. Like their Arakos have been very, very clean, with Binary being able to go over towards that Angela and finding a lot of value. Plus, we saw Central Park was actually the map on Convergence that they were able to take against Chopped, which went down to the wire on a defensive second. There was a full push that came on through from Chop side, not Chop side, rather Phaser side, off of a very good stall with the Angela into an Invis boundary bolt on the objective, and then they were able to hold with a strange portal recontest, getting to come on through with the Loki regen domains. But Araka would definitely be where I would prefer to see them try and take Na'Vi, because as I've said, they've looked the strongest on dive. Even yesterday, when they weren't running dive compositions, they still had 6 players focusing on one specific target, the way that we see in dive, and we just didn't get to see that. On domination, that target focus was spread so far and so thin because of the amount of pressure coming through from every single angle that Na'Vi lobbied against them.
I mean, Arako in particular would also allow for Binary to pivot over onto the Angela, which is something that Na'Vi might not have as much scrum experience against. While teams have obviously been trying it out, Na'Vi have been a squad for such a long time, and Angela is such a new addition to the game that your modality, your like standard affair, it gets a little bit thrown out the window when you're having to deal with the aerial Wolverine. Central Park is going to be the choice here for FaZe.
Well, I'm not surprised that it's not Symbiotic Surface, because that was a full hold. From Na'Vi coming on through the first time these two teams met, FaZe relied on the Hulk and Namor, which took a little bit too long, and Na'Vi just went aggressively after their entire team. And Smashnaz and Binary were trying to set those plays up, as Mantis is going to be banned for both of these sides. So FaZe not going to be allowing any one-sided damage boost coming on through, which, yeah, did mean that Smashnaz, not only was he going up against a hero who was designed to counter his kit, he also had to worry about the 12% damage boost every single time they engaged in those fights.
I feel fear when you offer a one-sided...
Ultron save, yeah.
One-sided Jeff for Fate here, potentially.
Well, the Luna's been removed.
I mean, do they need to ban the Star-Lord if they're going to be like putting eggs in the torch basket?
I would really like to see a Star-Lord ban come on through from FaZe, but I mean, Na'Vi might punish FaZe for not going for a Star-Lord ban in these and save Star-Lord second, because they've gone for the Venom, which now means that FaZe are going to have to essentially figure out, do they want to remove the Jeff or do they want to go for the Star-Lord? Jeff is going to be the pick of choice now, as Central Park does have so many environmental play potentials on first, second, and third, plus with the symbiotic shenanigans. Na'Vi's also run the 2-2-2 dive compositions. If both of these teams run a 2-2-2 dive composition, and there goes the Solid. Okay. Breathe a big sigh of relief. Smashnaz is definitely thanking whoever is running those bans, as too, I'm sure, is whoever's having to run the Ultron.
All right, one last ban here for FaZe. They want to try and target a strategist ultimate, like maybe making sure they don't have uneven Luna, because the Luna Flake, or maybe they could go for some uneven Invisible Woman shield, like Guardian Shield and Snowflake, like these tertiary concerns when it comes to your duelist battle. And yeah, they are going to prioritize getting rid of the Luna Flake.
Yeah, if Human Torch gets through for both teams, and it's going to get through for one team. Like you said, that disparity of one getting the Invis Woman for not just the Guardian Shield, but also the team up where you get that additional armor. So sometimes you don't even have to disengage and can be much more aggressive chasing down some of those lower health targets. As FaZe are actually going to be able to pick themselves up that Venom, which does mean that they've got Dive.
Also means Symbiotic Shenanigans is available. So
yes,
they're trying to force for Jeff ban last.
Burn a Jeff ban. Yeah.
They don't
so
get
Invis is going to be open.
So I'm like a 5-year-old learning this. I'm like, oh, I've seen Mox do this before. Oh.
Oh, I mean, I do hate to tell you though, both teams are going to get Invis.
Yes, both teams are going to get that Invis.
There There's no uneven invis.
That's why we saw the Venom protect, so we could force the Jeff back to get the invis out safely.
Force the Jeff and get the invis safely. So it is going to be a Torch Pocket Mirror coming on for more than likely, though one side is going to have that Ultron to buoy him up.
I also think that maybe Chat and I can, like, we'll accelerate in our understanding at the same rate, you know? I'm the everyman for relatable cast.
I mean, the bad draft is pretty, like, formulaic. It's very much sort of just like 1 + 1 = 2. Once you sort of learn the rhythm, like, okay, this counters this strengthens this. If you see, like, that gets saved, then the enemy team is likely either going to go for a target ban that they've already agreed on beforehand, or they're going to go for something that weakens the thing that was saved.
The battle starts in 5.
All right, going to be the first attack here of FaZe, rolling out with a Phoenix in the back pocket and the Winter Soldier. Always happy to see that. Winter Soldier has been incredibly effective, and I see a defensive Adam from Fate.
I see Naga on the Human Torch, but an actual read from FaZe coming on for her, because they're actually going to begin with Smashnez on the Winter Soldier. So he's going to be able to put pressure onto the Flyers while having hit scan and punishing Na'Vi if they try and go for a soft dive with Trust Me on the Venom with the hook.
Yeah, Tainted Voltage and Sonic Vortex both making sure that the altitude of Jerky and Naga cannot climb too high here. But, oh, great push coming through the Force Physics from level 1 Crook, making sure that Binary could not get into range to start poking these Flyers.
FaZe going to be looking to rotate, but Human Torch is already counter-rotated with that Pyro Prison too. If they want to be able to walk and take better angles for things like that Phoenix and that Winter Soldier, they have to go into the melting pot that's going to be all of that tick damage, which means they're stuck right in the middle, not really getting to do much of anything. So Na'Vi are generating so much better ultimate economy right now.
And then right now, Naga gets the protection of the Guardian Shield, as to does the ascending Naga. Jerky from afar. Oh, Rajara with the double spinning kick. How did Bro even get up there in time? He was not waylaid on his way forth. And while there is going to be a trade coming through, it might well be too little too late. Smashness is nasty with Rot to Stern, but Rose has called it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes with Emma, what you actually do with Diamond Form is that you go for the grab, which carries you forward, so that you can go from the low ground to the high ground. Naga got everybody low enough that the spinning kick decimated two into the wall almost immediately. The FaZe do have defensive ultimates, both the boundary to safeguard themselves onto the objective now that the portal has allowed themselves entry onto the point. Level 1 Crook comes through with us later though, and everyone from FaZe are stuck right in the middle. Even through Eternal Bond, Smashnez goes down.
Yeah, the slow movement means there's no way to try and escape the attentions of Naga. Jerky rains down huge amounts of healing, but Rajara is going to be under a lot of pressure. My goodness, the Rage of Ultron puts out so much healing. Rosa just burned on down. Oasis has had to call it already. And Na'Vi looking hot.
Smashnez gave up Kraken Impact. They had Strangling Prism, they had Kraken Impact. They knew even if they found the full sweep, they wouldn't be able to take Fate down, and he would just res everybody back up. So it's just a full composition change. Strangling Prism with Ensong Inferno might be able to force that res, but now to deal with the Flyers and that dive, you've got the Namor and the Hulk.
All right, Naga with the Flame Clusters. Going to be able to do a lot of damage to that Hulk, but remember, being grabbed out of the air is always going to be a danger for Supernova. Pens them in. A Pyro Prison of new make has been constructed here on Central Park. There might have been a solo ball over there onto Trust Me. I'm not sure who Rosa would have potentially got onto it, but either way, Na'Vi are looking absolutely unbreakable on this defense.
Oh, and they're going to get the stagger onto Binary as well, who's still in puny banner form. And they're gonna go for the Carbon Crush too, so he doesn't even get to throw himself off of the map. They still haven't been able to bully Fate into burning the self-cocoon either, so Na'Vi can literally just play Perez. They can give up 2 ticks at this point if they're even gonna let FaZe walk forward. No Strange Portal means the tax comes through in full on the walk up.
Oh, Naga went in too far though. A quick hot drop and a quick resurrection as well. Whoa, Bro was cooking with that one. Thought he had an angle onto the full resurrection, but it was easy to dodge away for Naga. And so Smashnez does not feel the just rewards of what was spent right there. As they roll down main, it'll be directly into the eyes of Jerky. You must be careful up in the air here. You're not necessarily invincible during the ultimate of Rage of Ultron. From the other side, in comes Leolaz with the Ensong Inferno. It's not the ideal matchup to try try and take, but with the help of a squid, Smashnez can get it done. Two teams stand inside of the invisible boundaries as FaZe prioritize their own capture of the point. They still haven't got the first tick though. Naga noted elsewhere. That's a good frenzying of the squids here. That's really going to up the output of the DPS that Smashnez was looking for. Jerky's ready to TP back on in. Fate has res themselves via the Karmic Revival Raccoon, and up close and personal.
There's the Loku.
Yeah, the Loki for regeneration domains allows for a safe debarking from the portal. Smashnez still looking for victims, takes up to the high ground, wants to be unbothered up here, finds Jerky moving on from behind, going to make it more difficult for Shield of a Seraphim to turn on to this. It's going to be the crash from above. The whale has struck land. Rajaro can't stand up to the damage, and trust me, has no better hope either. In overtime, FaZe have finally managed to clutch it out.
Binary with the Hulk and the World Breaker able to give FaZe the opening that they were looking for, but Fate going to be so close to the Karmic Revival, going to be looking to select all of the momentum coming on through from this attacking team. If the Flyers get control of these corners, it's so hard for an attacking team to not lose someone before the fight even begins, especially because look at all of the buildings that Naga is going to be able to use to obscure his hitbox entirely.
Yeah, this is a lot of survivability for Naga, but Binary might be able to try and challenge that and exile in midair. Remember, all of these flying targets have to continuously be aware that Hulk could take them out. And Smashnez as well, he can't go anywhere fast in the bubble. He floats down in a bubble, man! And you know what? He attacked them and they were roommates. Oh my god, they were roommates. And oh my god, the rage of Ultron starts to rack through FaZe. They can't get inside the invincibility field in time, and Winnie gets taken down.
Yeah, speaking about rooms, I'm pretty sure FaZe is just going to lock themselves in their respawn room until that Rage of Ultron is over. Smash has looked for just the point flip to come on through, but without that, Luna doesn't get any heal triage, and a big force physics from Winnie means that level 1 Crook does go down, but Fate is just going to bring them right back. With the Karmic Revival on the high ground, Rosa looks above, but there's no way that you're going to be able to clear up into it. Supernova manages as well to safeguard Navi's descent and splits FaZe's players, but there's a huge grab from Binary onto the torch.
Force out the invisible boundary to make sure that Naga can survive through the grab. Smashnez is too far away and Naga just forced to flee. Rosa begins channeling but can't quite find the targets here, so the conversion's not quite real. Level 1 Crook down elsewhere as Jerky plays the peripheries, just poking down from on top, putting in the insignificant damage to build up towards the Rage of Ultron. But now that the Eternal Bond is gone, there was an opening that was seized by Smashnez.
Ooh, potential stagger onto Venom. No, trust me, it's just going to go onto the objective and stall, so that Na'Vi get the opportunity to set up for another fight and can then take it and have another fight afterwards before FaZe are through safely into third. They've only got 17 seconds left. Big exile onto Rajaro. Stalls out the Sonic Seduction. Re-engagement coming on through from Na'Vi's end means that they have very little opportunity and angles to build up an ultimate to play into the Horn of Proteus, which catches Fate and forces the res.
The aggressive and confident force we were hoping for here. The Aegis Shield will block off Rajaro's re-engagement. Still two players get mind controlled. A chomp into the back, but it doesn't get converted into much. Still, while the strategists were focused on themselves and they were thinking about number one, they forgot about those who are up front and trying to stop the advance. Ratatoska will be stopped in place as FaZe lose out on their attack, but Na'Vi are still going to have to break through first and most of second.
That's the problem with the Atom. You burn an ultimate to burn a cooldown on the regen domain, or rather the cocoon self-res. And then Na'Vi, even though they're getting taxed coming out from those chokes, trust me, gets to use the Feast of the Abyss to go under the ground, put the pressure onto the backline, force FaZe to have to about turn and go peel on the objective itself because it's about to go into overtime and they can't afford to lose two with that strategist. Ultron alone would not be enough to keep the team up. And that means that Na'Vi can just walk forward and rejoin their Venom with Soulblind, no ultimates necessary.
Well managed by Na'Vi. And FaZe starting to capture some confidence at least, which may give him some legs in this series, but for now, Naga is feeling pretty difficult to take out up in the sky, and he's getting so many resources as well. The second that they actually got taken out of the sky by Binary, we saw the immediate bringing up of the invisible boundary.
This is a test for FaZe, because now they're on the defense. They don't have to develop the angle for the Namor. It comes pre-developed. if they manage to keep the space after first fight. That's going to be the thing for them. Like, having that Namor still being able to anchor those positions and put the pressure onto both the Ultron and the Torch. But it's not just the Ultron and the Torch that are going to be firing at the Namor, it's the Atom too. There's going to be so much pressure coming Smash Nurse's way.
2, 1.
You can already hear the leaps of the Hulk echoing through, and yes, baby. Here's the Thor.
Oh, Binary's already going incredibly low too. Navi's going to rotate all the way to the backup point as well, so that the Namor's going to have to change angle. He's not going to be able to take on both the Flyers and the Atom at the same time, which forces now Binary to have to mark on the Hulk.
Okay, Jerky and Naga. Good pocket here as it just bounce on in and out. The Gamma team up has been used. Remember, that's on a longer cooldown now. Naga given the purple. The damage taken's real. A missleep there from Binary as they tried to grab Naga out of the sky. Instead goes over to give the unbreakable guard to the remainder of their team.
Shield.
Rotating around this pillar is important, but it's because it opens up the space for Trust Me to work. Going in with Mjolnir, breaking down that back line. And the Thor in these tight spaces is so hard to out DPS.
Not just that, it's so hard to be able to, in these spaces, take a win against the Human Torch, because Naga just gets to dozy-do around the pillar, even though he came so low off of an amazing blind coming on through from Oasis. He's got the Phantom Force team up, gets the extra armor, dive bombs to his team, and gets the Guardian Shield stagger. And oh, speaking about staggers, that's a pretty brutal one. FaZe now having to try and force Na'Vi into exchanging Rage of Ultron fights to just burn momentum and make up for an absence of Binary, who went onto the Doctor Strange and mistimed the portal play.
That was great play from Winnie as well, managing to dodge most of the Rage of Ultron. Still, the Ultron's traded. Fate's in the back right here. 88% towards their own ultimate, and Naga and Trust Me just combining their damage up to the sky on top of the Phoenix. It's great target focus coming through from Na'Vi, and you can see that they're all listening to a Bosch. Trust Me's making the calls, and Naga's there with the gun.
I mean, Fate's going to have Karmic Revival too for this next fight. FaZe don't have any real way of getting on top of that Atom and forcing the Cocoon out early either. Binary on that Hulk might be able to mark the Atom's red spot, but it's not the same as something like a Phoenix being able to provide all of that pick potential. The Supernova is in the hand for the Human Torch, and FaZe know this. The target focus is there, but so too is the healing. Invisible Boundary comes on through from level 1 Crook, punishing the extension, and Trust Me with the God of Thunder brings the hammer down, all the while Na'Vi free pushing objective.
4 quick stuns from Thor right there. Oasis just breaks their way out through here. Dare you step into like 5 stacked up flame tornadoes? It seems that FaZe are brave enough to do so, but Trust in the Eternal Bond is real, and Jerky can't stand up to this one. An exile in midair, but Fate has got the resurrections going. Bring themselves back. Jerky as well. Back into the sky. You've got to worry about Binary, who's making these leaps constantly, trying to grab Naga out of space, and there it is. Finally, the Ultron drone comes through, but the healing's not enough. Smash Says manages to take cover behind a little bit of masonry for a momentary reprieve and a bit of stability for FaZe to work with until Trust Me hunts them down, leaving the Lightning Realm, sent them down to a much darker one, and Jerky's ready to rain down fire upon the back line of FaZe. It's going to be matched here by Layla, as the healing must be supreme, but they've run used with Dagger Storm as well. Trust Me taking pressure. The Hulk play is real. Wrapping in towards the back. Binary is going to be an absolute menace to try and contest here, as they put out clap after clap and the backline's warded away. Fate's going to be the primary victim of that one, and Leolas has to drop away behind the church.
Yeah, Leo has to get so much healing as well coming through from Winnie, but Binary wasn't World Breaker Hulk, so had an extended health bar and doesn't go down when the strategist's head is turned, and Oasis manages to win the duel against the Human Torch too. Finally, Na'Vi have been pushed back, not all the way. They've still got control of a little bit of that space, but now Smashness and Leolas can put a lot more pressure onto the Human Torch and Jerky on the Ultron before these fights properly break on out.
Level 1 Crook has the invisible boundary in the back half, but Rosa is going to be able to strike first. Going to straight away open up with the Sonic Seduction. Doesn't seem like there's been much conversion here. It's just a clean getaway from Na'Vi, who weren't really committed to the fight just yet.
Map rotation too. The Human Torch and the Ultron are behind the back line. FaZe's attention's going to be split.
Okay, the Squids are going to have to try and deal with that one. Smash does in 1 versus 2, and the Squids get burned through real quick. So too does the man, summoning them. The hot drop is good, and Jerky's even better. Dropping down on top of the back line with the God of Thunder, and now it's time to spin up the flame tornadoes inside of the invisible boundary. There still isn't enough healing, and there is not enough present. Ratatoska just runs it on in. Top 1%, Na'Vi. Take away Central Park.
Na'Vi going for that map flip, meaning that FaZe can't hold the angle for them, looking only at the Flyers as they try and enter into that fight. Instead, the Namor has to peel the backline, which means less pressure on the Vanguards. The Vanguards get to walk on forward onto the objective, forces all of the ultimates to come on through. FaZe have defensive capabilities, but they don't have offensive. So Na'Vi is able to overwhelm them with all of that incoming damage from the Supernova.
Forces the ult, say that again. Naga, what a performance here on the Human Torch, showing that this is still a duelist that demands attention or demands a ban. And Jerky and Naga just working quickly as this duo is super important. We had an interview with Jerky a couple of days ago talking about how, like, obviously they're more comfortable working with Crisis just because they were teammates for a long time on Low 9, and obviously Jerky is a newer addition to this roster, and Naga's been working with Melio for most of this time. So it's been great to see them work as a pair and really get some value from those duo Flyers.
Yeah, that Human Torch looking like much more of a problem when Star-Lord is out of that picture, especially if both the Ultron and the Invis are able to make it through the ban drafters. You don't even need the LOS for the Invis to come on through and give the Guardian Shield if you just have your Phantom Force team up available, and we could see that it meant that Naga could be so much more aggressive. The reason as well why we saw so little fights actually needed for Na'Vi to push all the way to where they needed on second was because the first fight on second is off of the objective entirely. Fate had Karmic Revival, had Soulbind 2, which doesn't require LOS, unlike the normal Adam Snap heals coming on through. So all of the ultimates that were being exchanged on a side lane were literally just baiting FaZe into burning their entire ultimate bank, allowing more point uncontested to move on forward, and meaning that the Adams position would be harder for them to track down when Karmic Revival did come out afterwards.
Yeah, it takes very intelligent use of your positioning when you are essentially a 4-2 split to have better, like, cart presence for the team that sits on the floor, right? And that's why we saw such well-timed maneuvers from Jerky and Naga up in the air to make sure that that 6v4 never really happened. However, for FaZe, it's not over yet. One map separates them from Oblivion and Elimination, but one map separates Na'Vi from a chance to go towards DreamHack Atlanta. Find out how FaZe try and bring this series back after this break. Last chance here for FaZe, 2-0 down against Na'Vi, but Na'Vi, they are looking like it's going to be an absolute potential banger game against Chopped if they make it there, with both of these teams potentially going 3-0. FaZe still have life in them yet, though, and they can try and rescue themselves from the pit that's been dug by Natus Vincere.
Yes, and it has to be a convoy map, which, I mean, normally we would probably be expecting Araco to come on through, so Binary could flex over to the Angela. The problem is Ultron and Torch find insane amounts of value being able to flank through the teleporters all the way around the back of first defense when it comes to Araco. So, given the fact that we just saw the Human Torch and the Invis and the Ultron Pocket absolutely run the show in terms of Central Park, I feel like we're not going to be hearing the absolute banger that is the OST for Araco ramping on up when we head into Convoy. It's much more likely going to be somewhere that the Ultron and Torch find less value.
It's fine, I'll just play the OST myself. Doesn't matter. I didn't want to hear it anyway. Yeah, it's probably going to be either Aegis or Path or Midtown. I think the other convoy maps are available. We've got to go to a convoy map. For all of you who don't know how these matches work, we go through all three of our modes. We go Domination first, then the loser can pick either Convoy or Convergence, and then the loser once again picks the next map, but it can only be the remaining map type. It's going to be Midtown, Mox, where we settle the score.
Yeah, no more Mantis as well coming on through. FaZe let it go once, and Na'Vi immediately made them regret it. Now FaZe get the opportunity attacking first, so they're going to have to go through that spawn break strategies, but it does mean that they can go for a save before Na'Vi can target out another of their heroes, which means guaranteed one-sided potential Lunar Snow, as Na'Vi now get the opportunity to ban and will be able to remove the Atom. Is this going to lead into an Atom save, or are they going to go for the Lunar save to make that duelist fight a little bit more even?
There's a world where the Jeff isn't worth a protect here on Midtown. Doesn't have a huge amount of environmental hazards. There are some available on second and third, but Thirst doesn't have any options. It's going to be a protect here of the EMEA, Mox.
Yeah, I mean, Emma strong on the attack, playing into retake with Sonic Seduction, also incredibly strong on the defense to be able to break a lot of those vanguards trying to hold their position on the convoy itself. But it wasn't a save onto the Atom, so FaZe are going to be removing that one from play. No one-sided Soulbind, no potential hit scan pressure as well coming through from the Atom if FaZe do decide to go for something like an Ultron or a Torch, as Na'Vi will be removing that Emma. And even though, like you said, there is going to be less opportunities for environmental pickups from the Jeff, you do still have to worry about your team being split because of it's coming through from that Jeff. It also forces you to have to run something with CC immunity, like either the Ultron or the Phoenix or that Magneto or Winter Soldier to interrupt the Jeff ultimate, and FaZe don't really want to be boxed into those kinds of compositions.
Added value here to the Atom ban as well, to see 3-3 potentially not get karmically revived on a potential spawn hold from Na'Vi. We expect both teams to roll through this. Oh, one-sided Luna. This might actually force a Star-Lord ban out, especially with that Ultron Protect coming through from Na'Vi. This could be an attempt to force that. Never mind. Okay. Now what do you get rid of? Maybe the Invis?
I mean, FaZe have to go for the save onto the Star-Lord because they've seen that Ultron, and they know that the Ultron is going to be vulnerable to the Star-Lord, but also what the Ultron pockets is going to be vulnerable to that Star-Lord. As Ultron is going to come on through, but Na'Vi don't have access to anything else that would really go for a traditional triple strategist line. They don't have the Jeff, they don't have the Atom, and they don't have the Mantis. So it's likely going to be an Invis and maybe a Rocket coming on through, or maybe we get that Loki, as Loki on the defense has proven with things like Regen Domain to be very, very strong, but it is a double-edged sword against the Moon Knight, because FaZe are going to be able to take one look out of their spawn doors, see all of the doppelgangers, and Leolaz is going to have all of the rage generation necessary to build Hand of Khonshu in record time.
Oh yeah, that's going to be coming up real quick as we head over to Midtown, potentially the last map for FaZe in Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 2. It all comes down to this. The draft is looking pretty good for FaZe. It's in their hands now to play it right.
I mean, it's in their hands to have to try and break the spawn hold as quickly as they possibly can. Doctor Strange was also not targeted by a ban, so Na'Vi will be able to take the first fight. And then, if they lose it, they'll be able to portal back in immediately to try and contest a second time, giving them an opportunity to take a third fight before FaZe even get access to a longer time bank. As we can see, what exactly do FaZe try and roll out onto? If it's up against the Groot, the Wolverine could very well stick around, but it comes at the cost of that Moon Knight, and yeah, Moon Knight against Loki is just too good a matchup for FaZe to pass.
Bait taken, but it might well work out here as Leolaz starts to carve through these Groot walls. You can see that Jerky, oh my goodness, Jerky's already down. Use their Emma team up a little bit bit early there. The sonic projection was seen, noted, and taken down. There goes the regeneration domains as well. Resurrection should be good onto Jerky, returning in short order. Level 1 Crook's been taken down. That's a huge amount of healing throughput taken off the board as Leolaz deciding not to play in the midst of the team and instead find these off angles from the high ground has really been rewarded for those positions.
Yeah, and there's no contest coming on through from Na'Vi on that high ground as level 1 Crook wasn't on the Ultron, was on the Loki. Everyone from Na'Vi was either playing on the low, on main road, or in the room, which means more players stacked on top of each other, more onks bouncing. Rose's walls too weren't getting melted on through, so they've got Hand of Khonshu and Strangling Prison to be able to find the damages onto Na'Vi's team and try and just absolutely wombo combo this next fight.
Mitigation options here are limited when it comes to the wombo combo. Fate's going to be the main one to look at here with the invisible boundary, but the healing still isn't all that even after the buff. Rosie, you can see what he's cooking on the other side, wants to try and find at least 2 squishies inside of that ultimate and has to worry about the Aegis shield coming up from Rajaro as well. Brings up walls behind the Emma Frost to try and cut them off from the healing, but still the off angle comes through from the side of level 1 Crook. Down comes the Will of Khonshu, but it seems like their final blows have been stolen away by the remainder of FaZe. In the end, all you need is love, though, and just makes it work nonetheless. Trust me rolls in, but up against the damage boost, nothing but curtains for them. Level 1 Crook sacrifices their metallic body to the point, and here comes the recontest. It's Jerky with the portal. FaZe are rolling on out, but they're ready to go with the Omega Hurricane. Rajaro might be able to shut this one down. FaZe, they seem to have forced a disengagement here, and it's going to be onto the back line, waiting for that portal to close in onto that Vanguard, and Jerky can't stand up to it. Emma, no more lucky either. The back line is still under siege, but the cart was moving.
Oh, and FaZe as well, because they're going to be getting these late picks. Plus, SmashNet's got to use the Hurricane. I was going to say, there's nothing really forcing him to have to stay on this Storm if FaZe want to swap off of this composition now that they've been able to break the triple Vanguard, triple Strategist. But it looks like they're actually going to prioritize having that damage boost. But when Trust Me and Jerky try to show up and use the dive pressure, meaning that they can absolutely detonate the Venom with something like Leolaz and the Winter Soldier's connections.
Still, it does mean that Jerky does have a very viable target in the Storm, whose evasion is a little bit limited, and Solo plays well into his aerial hits. You can see
level 1 Crook too, the tracking.
Could well be easy for them. Almost a Rage of Ultron, ready to go. Binary rolls on forward, knows the Eye of Agamotto is available, has to worry about that Carbon Crush. That's one more stun off the table, but Binary's not going to be around long enough to use their own ultimate. Na'Vi just collapse from all sides.
Yeah, FaZe tried to lobby that one-sided damage boost coming on through from the Storm's AoE, but it comes at the cost of, like you said, making easier targets for Na'Vi to look at. They first targeted the Winter Soldier so that they didn't have to worry about all of that damage being stacked up or Kraken Impact getting to pair off of Strangling Prison in that fight, and then they could put that pressure onto the Storm, who knows that they're not going to get any value into this retake and has to swap over to the Phoenix. But losing that first fight now means that FaZe have lost control of the spacing to use the combo, and Na'Vi have a lot of mobility, so that Strangling Prison's going to hit a bare minimum.
Oh, taken into the back rooms now. The cleave is going to be massive. Naga up close and personal. The sparks haven't been built up, though, and so no final hits can be found. Smashers actually punishes them for this. Oh, they're in a box right now. When you're up against the wall, that's when Rosa decides to crush you down. The aggressive play from Na'Vi gets thoroughly routed despite investing 3 ultimates. Yeah,
but they hold on to both of their duelist ultimates. So they're going to have the CC immunity coming on through from the Winter Soldier to potentially stop the momentum coming on through from Rajaro's Psionic Seduction. Plus, they've got these forward angles to really put the pressure and scout Jerky's position on the Psylocke so they don't get to set up down to the butterflies and force face to stack.
Oh, this could be a one-tap here. Onto Invisible Woman instead, not knowing the location. They try and get the guaranteed damage onto Trust Me instead, wiping away that overhealth. Rajaro rolls on forward, knowing that they are a massive threat to these Vanguard. Jerky around the back. The second people get controlled, it's going to be the dance of the butterflies. Winnie had no recourse, no way to deal with a 1,000-folded steel. They tried to parry, they tried to dodge, but Psy's aim is supreme. Jerky splits elsewhere as Rosa manages to find a pick onto Fate. Leolaz could be the last hero here, noted. And here comes the Kraken's impact. They believe in the resets. They believe in the Leo. What do his elf ears hear? It would appear that they just hear something in the back. The ghosts begin to approach. Level 1 Crook under desperate terror here from Verota Stern, and it's Smashnez around the other side who finds the BRB as well. One angle from the Phoenix, but it seems momentum's already beginning to break. It's re-established by Rosa, coming through with the portal here. This is going to give Smashnez a way to come on back, as well as Binary's in the back. Rajaro tries to body block the disengage. It works out well. The dags of the Nat carve on through, but now up comes the fate of both worlds. The sustainability for FaZe Mox.
Yeah, but there's nothing to damage boost. It's just neutral abilities. Nog is going to have the end song Inferno Purple. However, reset. The Bionic Hook comes through onto the Phoenix, but the pig doesn't come up off the back of it. And Jerky with the Psylocke has the ability to get on top of the low health targets, and the damage boost from Fate means that Na'Vi will be able to hold their ground and prevent FaZe from pushing themselves into third.
Oh, Smashnez might well get staggered here as well. There's going to be a chase, but Binary's there to alleviate some of the pressure.
Rosa, at least with this Eye of Agamotto, doesn't have to worry about an Emma Frost carbon crushing, but what FaZe do have to worry about is time bank right now. Na'Vi are going to try and figure out where FaZe are going to be rotating. If the Eye of Agamotto does hit, it's going to be into all of the follow-up from the Kraken impact, but they have so little control of the space. Someone's got to go onto the point directly into Na'Vi, which means that Jerky's going to see so many bodies for the Dance of the Butterfly.
Necessary sacrifice, but one that has to be made. Rosa knows the Eye of Agamotto could be everything, and Rajaro's under pressure. Has built up their own ultimate now inside of the invisible boundary. Rosa has been found. Never got a chance to open the eye. Smashnez down the line. Leolaz manages to find a double culling finish. And now you can try and reset onto the clones. Leolaz playing it as slow as they can. The Seer comes on out. A brand new play, a brand new reset, a brand new yell of again from the Winter Soldier. The evasiveness is crazy. And the culling aura is gone. Level 1 Crook is built different when it comes to the rat. The raccoon feasts on the garbage here. He's more powerful in New York City. Trust me, with a quick disengage. And the storm has been weathered when it comes to Leolaz, but a brand new storm of democratic values has been dragged forth here by Captain America. A brand new Seer, a brand new dream, a brand new stun onto Naga. It was brought on down as Rajra rolls forth, and 3 stuns are delivered. Oh, the Eye of Agamotto has been opened, and it sees a path to victory for Na'Vi.
Okay, level 1 Crook is just built different. Raccoon! Oh no, because that was Na'Vi just perfectly understanding the time bank that FaZe were up against. FaZe weren't playing against 6 opponents in that last fight, they were playing against 7. The time bank forced one of them to have to go to the objective, and that meant that Jerky could come on through, pressuring the Dance of the Butterflies onto the strategists. So when Winnie uses the invisible boundary, it's on the back line, it's not on the point, and that means that FaZe start losing players. Leolaz has to come on through with an absolutely clutch Kraken impact, but doesn't manage to find the elimination. Has to melt through all of the heal sustain brought on by the copied rocket Cosmic Yarn amplifier, and then they're able to stall. Lives the entire copy window, comes back into that Loki, uses the devious exchange to fully rotate his position back to his team's spawn side, and then there's all of the healing off of both the Loki and the rocket to keep the Venom up long enough for an Eye of Agamotto to come on through, and it's history. And that is where the convoy holds.
I mean, there's a reason he was the Grand Finals MVP on Loki. Bro is just built different. FaZe setting up, they're battling down the hatches. The fortress has been erected. 3 strategists, 3 vanguards, 1 dream.
FaZe, like you said, gonna be on the triple strategist, triple vanguard, not giving up the high ground though, in case the Moon Knight tries to occupy it the way that we saw Leolaz getting absolutely uncontested space. Smashnez already going a little bit too low, the shield breaking, going to put himself up onto the high ground so that everyone can trade that position, and Rosa moves on forward to the plate instead.
Yep, Rosa tagging on in. Smashnez and Rosa doing this do-si-do to make sure that only one person has to put their body on the line to stop the Fantastica every single time. Rosa building up very quickly towards this ultimate. Well ahead of, trust me, 78% already. An early strike here could mean curtains for Na'Vi very early. That's a big spinning kick to isolate Rosa. And you can see that the walls are brought on up to try and cut off the LOS of the back line. Rosa has been resurrected, but the space has been given. Now FaZe have to make a choice. Are they going to invest? It seems that's going to be the case. The invisible boundary brought up on top of the strangling prison, and while Smashnez thought they could maybe follow up on this one, they're dragged inside of the healing pool. Naga made Khonshu will known. The hands drop from the sky and make sure the evildoers are slain.
Yeah, Winnie gets stuck in the animation cast of It's Jeff and isn't able to move out. Dodges the Strangling Prison CC, but gets fully melted by the Hand of Conchu damage coming off of the back of it. There goes the teleport. Faye's going to be dropping off of the high ground onto the contest, but Jerky just comes on through the Hurricane, and Faye, with all of that heal sustain from the Eternal Bond's going to be able to keep the storm intact.
Hurricane is looking good. Jerky rolls on through. I think that Jerky may have actually been temporarily stunned as well. Naga looking for a target. The Yonk doesn't really hit too much here, but Face is still brawling out on the cart. And these walls make things so complicated for your LOS if you happen to be one of these whale. Oh, the double bounce on the Crescent Blade. It did so much. You just chunk Leolaz down to nothing.
Don't need to aim against a Rocket Raccoon if the Yonk bounces does it for you, as Na'Vi are going to be swapping. Jerky now going to be over to that Psylocke. Smashnaz off of that Storm onto the Phoenix, but I mean, phase, it comes at the cost. All of these swaps, it's done to fortify their position on second. They give up first, which means that Na'Vi are just going to keep running aggressively forward. Strangling Prison maybe looking for a connection. They're baiting phase into taking the fight. The Invis Burn just going to slow one, and the isolation onto Rose is there.
Oh, downtown solo ult onto Rose. Are they still giving the Hand of Khonshu? That feels a little bit disrespectful at this point. Rose gets resurrected, and Fate's been taken out in the back by Binary while distraction was elsewhere. The Invisible Woman's going to find themselves alone in a room. It could be disengageable here, but I don't know if Crook actually wants to try and make that work. No, Winnie just hunts them down with a Joyful Splash. It's easy checking for the Invis.
Yeah, Binary and the Captain America too was able to go all the way around onto the objective to stall it. So that when Na'Vi are fighting on the outsides of Storm Tunnel, it's actually no objective pressure picked up for them. Now they have to go back to it. Once again, Force Phase off of this high ground hold, and trust me, is over to the Force so he can brawl into the mix and break the Vanguards from the backline.
Force positioning of the group could be everything. What can you bring up in the way of Rojaro's ultimate? Multiple players grabbed on through, and guess what? You don't need to break the BRB if you could just break the Raccoon instead. Where Smashnez once fell against the Raccoon, Jerky finds supremacy via Shinobi Folded Steel.
Leolaz now over towards that Winter Soldier. 50% to the first Kraken impact is going to be a reliance on Binary and Oasis to stall the fights out long enough for Face to hit the win condition. But the longer these fights stall, the closer Na'Vi is going to be getting to that last fight needed to finish this map in a 3-0 fashion. Out comes the Freedom Charge from Binary. Leo almost going down to the stuns coming on through from the Phoenix. But Fate with the Eternal Bond just gives the in to find such an aggressive Terror Cape into the entirety of the team. And there's the follow-up.
The Beyblade Spin to win has arrived, but so too has the biggest of Strangling Prisons. Leolaz's going to get many resets here as Naga's already fallen on down. Jerky not even noted behind this backline. They're all focused forward trying to keep Leolaz up, but still failure becomes them. Na'Vi focused down their fire. Binary's forced to flee. There's no Freedom Charge in the backline here, nor is there any reprieve. Jerky with the Silent Crossbow gets turned round upon, and it's going to be Melee that brings this back as Binary falls on down. Trust me, over now onto the Thor. The Awakening runes are used to carve through the walls, but not much more than that. Smashnez with a quick disengagement, not wanting to get controlled by the incoming damage. The patty cake, not good enough. A baking cake of victory. Jerky watches from afar and takes down the End Song Inferno. The Cosmic Force is not enough. With the will of victory brought forth by Na'Vi, a disengagement by the portal phase cannot touch off the back of it. The Fantastica hits the ground running, and Na'Vi are ready to stamp their ticket to Atlanta.
Yeah, that looked like Rojaro actually went through the portal in diamond form to look for either a spinning kick interrupt or just a carbon crush. Body blocking so that there's absolutely no way for FaZe to stall the portal and come back into that fight with how much closer their respawn room is on the finish line of second in comparison to Na'Vi. Would have to traipse all the way through the entirety of second just to be able to rejoin themselves. Smashnez too with the End Song Inferno tried to stall the fight long enough. End Song Inferno gives that Phoenix that immediate health reset even if she doesn't manage to hit the ground, but it just gets bolt through so quickly with Fade as well, able to use the Dark Teleportation in case they're not able to burn the Phoenix ultimate in time. And like you said, Na'Vi, oh boy, there's an anger to them that we haven't really got to see. The motivation since they've been beaten now by Citadel and Virtus Pro really does mean that they have to go to show what exactly it means when we say that these guys are the current defending champs. They want to continue that lower bracket run. They want rematch.
Anger, fear, terror, ambition. They all drive Na'Vi potentially in equal measure, but all of them are very potent motivators. And unfortunately for FaZe, they felt the raw damage of those here on Midtown. For FaZe, though, this has been a very impressive run for them so far, especially noting that they did have a very late change to their roster as Crisis, who's on Na'Vi, was stolen away from FaZe at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so like you said, they did have to go for some pretty big adaptations coming on through before they were able to participate inside stage 2. Na'Vi, though, have also been going through some major changes, and we've heard as well from some of their interviews too, that they're still trying to figure out some of those dynamics because of that. I think taking that win now and having that little bit of downtime between group stages and now playoffs has allowed some of that to be somewhat tightened up coming on through, as we're going to be able to once again talk to Jerky to ask him how exactly the team has been handling having to find themselves in that lower bracket run.
It felt pretty good, I have to say. I told Leg Day last time I'm gonna win again and I'm gonna come, so I mog him to show the jawline, you know.
Looking good, bro. Looking good.
Thank you, likewise.
Well, you may be all smiles now. I was having a look at your social media last night, and I saw a potential frown on the horizon. Do you want to walk us and the audience through the you and Vertigo thing?
Yeah, sure. Me and Vertigo, ever since I started playing, basically, which was like back in season 1, we kind of became friends, right? He was always the good player, and I was always like the noob. And he kind of taught me a lot of stuff I know about the game, and we went through everything, even real life stuff. When he had like some real life crisis, I was always there for him, he was always there for me. And for it to come down where my or his glory comes at the cost of each other's downfall is kind of sad, you know. It kind of stung yesterday, and yeah, just felt like I had to share that with the world.
So to continue in the lower bracket, you're either going to be going up against Virtus Pro or Citadel. You've been able to go head-to-head with both of those teams. Who do you think is going to come out on top, and who would you prefer to actually take a match against in the lower bracket if they're not the same?
Well, I think I need to take a step back here and confirm that we will be the ones who are facing VP or Citadel, because we do need to be chopped first. But if that happens, if we do be chopped, I think I would rather... it's a hard question, I think, because both teams have their qualities. I think the Citadel team is really good at just holding their W key and not letting you breathe ever. And I think VP has just that... how do you say that, page perfect gameplay where they don't make many mistakes, they don't take the high risk, high reward or low reward scenarios, so they just play a picture perfect game. So it's hard. I don't think I would be comfortable with facing any of them. Like, it wouldn't be like, yeah, this team is worse. I think both are a tough fight, but if I had to choose, probably Citadel again. Yeah.
Comms looks good today. I want a quick insight into your hero picks. A lot of people thought that Psylocke might be gutted after the Wing Shuriken nerf. How do you feel her current power level is, and what's her best use case?
I mean, I had to convince even my own team. I was like, guys, just let me pick Psylocke. I'm the best Psylocke in the world. Shout out to Tuzi, is my only competition. I think she's still really good, right? Like, of course, the damage is a bit less, but I don't think people realize that it's only on return on the right clicks. It's not the whole right click, so it's only 20 damage. And she's a bit weaker just because triple support is in the meta. I think if it was still 2-2-2 meta, it would be way easier for Psylocke, but I think she has a very good place in the meta right now, and you can pick her on some comps. On some comps, she is not as useful, so I would rate her pretty well balanced right now.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Jerky. It was an absolute pleasure, and I'm sending you emotional support as you and your brother have to attempt to slay each other from this tournament.
Yeah, thank you. All right.